I'm your host, Ed Lecius, and today we're live with our program from the video broadcasting studios at Nashua High School South with the class under the direction of Jeff Leone, and we're talking about technical education.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
And we're very pleased to have the new co-directors of the program in the Nashua School District with us today, Michael McQuilken and Amanda Bastoni. Welcome
Great
to
to be
iYe
here.
Education.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a chance to talk to Amanda as part of Nashua Goes Back to School several weeks ago, and it's great to finally meet you, Mike. And you've come to this program by a very different route. You were a social studies teacher.
I was.
How did you wind up here?
I was. Let me go backwards actually a little bit. So I began my career in education 25 years ago, working in a school for emotionally disturbed children. And it was that point, working with that population, I learned that kids need different types of experiences, more hands-on type experiences. And from there, I had the opportunity to work at Minuteman Regional Career and Technical High School in Lexington, Mass. At the time, a very innovative CTE school. And my job at Minuteman was to help place special needs students into the appropriate programs, CTE programs. And so, you know, I'm really passionate about finding different pathways for kids, different career pathways. And I was lucky enough to land here in Nashua about 10 years ago, and I worked in the social studies department, and I worked on many joint ventures with the folks in CTE, especially our economics classes, working on different career paths and so forth. So when this opportunity opened up, I jumped at it, and I'm super excited to get started and see where we can take this.
Now, the program has evolved. You and I were talking before going on the air back, and I'm dating myself now, the old shop programs. It's evolved into the latest and the greatest, including robotics and everything else, and you seem to have a pretty good passion for it.
Absolutely, and I think this is such, this is the hidden gem of our district. That's what we like to call it. I think that we really want to get, parents understanding just how many programs we have out there, how many opportunities we have for our students, and the different career paths. We want to get rid of that old stigma, of vocational education, and really understanding that there are so many opportunities at both schools, at North and at South, that can provide our kids with so many different pathways for success.
Amanda, you're the co-director. You're up at North High School, and
Yep.
you have always been in the area of CTE.
Yes, at the high school level, I was in CTE, and I just want to echo what Mike's saying. The hidden gem, we have the largest CTE center in the state of New Hampshire right here in Nashua, and I think that's exciting, the most number of programs.
Now, many Nashuans may recall when they built the first Nashua High School, the state at the time funded about $5 million for the VocTech programs. And even since that time, in the building of the two North and South, the programs have diversified, and they have kept up with the times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to be a winning edge, I would think, for students entering the program.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Ed. So right now we have marine robotics as a program. We have VEX robotics at both high schools. The school board helped us bring machining manufacturing back, and I think we all see the signs when we drive down the highway that there's a need for that. We're thinking of potentially bringing protective services to Nashua. Our careers in ed and our health sciences programs are always full, and they really offer viable pathways to college or career.
Can you break down how the program works from the national level down to Nashua, Mike?
Well, for our programs, we have funding through what's called the Perkins Grant. And so around February, we sort of meet with our teachers. All of our teachers are required to have 2 advisory board meetings a year with industry. And it's in those meetings that they discuss their needs for their programs, to make their programs improved and more viable. And around, between February and April, we start the process of the next year's grant, and sort of throwing out there what each program needs. And we find out middle of the summer what we're awarded for each program. And so that's from a national level, and then that breaks down to the state. And then, of course, they look at the different schools in terms of the needs, in terms of free reduced lunch, socioeconomic needs, and there's a algorithm that I'm not privy to um, that breaks down how each district is allotted these funds.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
it's
but the federal government realizes that our programs, are unlike regular core academic areas where we really need these funds to run our automotive programs, to get the machines up and running, to get our engineering program going. So we really need these funds to create these robust programs and opportunities for students.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I totally agree with you. And Perkins 5 was just signed into law, and it's one of the few bipartisan laws that we've come across. So I think it's safe to say that everyone believes career and technical education is important across the aisles.
Mike was talking about advisory boards. How collaborative are you with local businesses here in Nashua?
That's one of our goals. When I first came on board, Amanda and I met with many people from industry. We started with automotive, and we a couple of groups in there from the machining industry. That's one for the two of us. That's one of our big goals. Getting involved, communicating out there with people in industry, helping our teachers, understand how to build their advisory boards, and again, giving back to the community. I think there's that great sense of, we're going to give back to the community. The community is going to understand that helping us out is going to help them out with future employers. So it's sort of a give and take, and we're excited about continuing those relationships.
Yeah, and we're really grateful to Mark Tully of Tully Automotive and Peggy Proco of Hondas of Peter, because they helped us. They stepped up. They really helped us clean out our automotive shop. They donated huge dumpsters. They donated time. They had 12 employees there to support us. And actually, currently, right now, the state of New Hampshire is doing a workforce celebration for anyone who's been helping CTE and workforce development. And that's the governor is there, the commissioner of education right now at the Krista McAuliffe Center in Concord. And we nominated Jessica Dade, and she is up there getting an award for the work she did. So we're really partnering with the community.
And it's interesting you mentioned Tully and Proco, because back in the day when the programs first started, when the original Nashua High was built on the south side, Peggy's dad and Mark's dad were involved with the automotive program back then.
Absolutely. And for the drones, so we're starting this new drone program, Ed. I don't know if the community is aware, but we had a grant to start the drone program, and SI Drones, which is a Nashua-based company, has worked with us to develop that program and is willing to work with our teachers. So I think we're really reaching out to the community, like Mike said, and we definitely welcome anyone interested in contacting us. So,
Mike, any parent watching us today, what should they know about the program?
I think many things. We really want to get exposure out there to the community and to the parents about the 19 fantastic programs we have. The fact that we have programs at both schools. Kids, even if students go to school at South, they can take programs over at North. I'd love to get parents in here to tour our programs, but to see the great opportunities. The other thing is the fact that many of our programs have dual enrollment options, where students can actually get college credit through, New Hampshire calls it Running Start, so they can actually get college credit while in high school. And I think, my big message for parents out there would be that their son or daughter could have such a jump start on their career path by looking and examining many of these opportunities that we have here in the high school.
yeah.
And even if they don't work out, right? I mean, and they say, well, that's not sort of the path I want. I could sort of change gears. You go to college, you start paying your tuition bills. You're 3 or 4 years in, you got to change gears. There's a lot of money there that, I don't want to say wasted, but a lot of bills you got to pay back. You can have those experiences in high school, which I think is invaluable, and I think gets the kids a step ahead.
Our program today is being produced and directed by the students in one of the programs that fall under your direction, and who knows where it's going to lead for the students in this program.
Right.
Absolutely.
And Ed, I would try to remind the stakeholders that right now, nationally, 86% of students graduate from high school in low-income areas. That's lower. But if they are involved in a CTE program, that jumps to 90%. And then after that, of that 90%, when they go off to college, they're more likely to complete college if they were in a CTE program. So CTE is not just for those kids. It's not that vocational education that we think of in the past. It really prepares you for college or career.
And that's a stigma that was
Absolutely.
long associated and hopefully isn't anymore with the program, that it was a place to put students that weren't either going in the business program or the college path. Just put them in there, get them through, and get them on. But now, meaningful education is taking place in these programs, and as you say, they're getting college credits now, and many are going on to gainful employment. I know of a young man that I was mentoring. We started at Ledge Street through high school, and he was in the culinary program, and he's now got a full-time job as a chef.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the zeitgeist in the world is changing. We're recognizing that going to college, getting that 4-year degree isn't the guarantee that it used to be. A lot of the community employees that we work with and the partners we have, they'll hire students right out of high school and then pay for their college. You know, they'll help put them through college. So we're really excited that nationally the whole feeling around CTE is starting to change. And I think we're recognizing that in Nashua, that we really need to embrace these programs because they support students and they give these pathways that, you know, maybe some of the other classes don't necessarily offer or afford.
And that's what we're so appreciative too, to just to get the word out. As Amanda talked about studies and statistics, you know, we know that graduation rates are higher. You know, when kids go through CTE programs, attendance rates are higher with kids who are in CTE programs. So it's just so important that parents and students know the opportunities that are available to them.
And I mean, Mike, how many parents have said to you, I wish I knew about this when I was in high school? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We did a tour last year of some parents and students, and they got to see our great facilities. And I can't tell you the number of parents and students, there were 6th grade students who went through and their eyes wide open as they walked into HVAC, or they saw the construction trades and they looked at the robots and said, Mom and Dad, I really want to come here. And the parents saying, wow, I didn't really realize that we had all this stuff here. And so Amanda and I really want to bring that exposure, and tell our community that we have some fantastic programs here for their sons and daughters.
How challenging is it to find teachers for these programs?
It can be difficult, Ed, although we have a really robust CTE directors group that meets, and that group, we support an individual who helps teachers coming from industry get all the credentialing they need. So there's an Alt-4 credentialing pathway, but it can be difficult because, it wouldn't be as successful if we took a teacher right out of, teaching college. We really need that teacher that has automotive experience, years in the field, that can bring that to the students. So it can be challenging.
So there is a process for someone to come from the business industry side into the classroom.
Absolutely. Yep, it's called the Alt-4, and if you're interested, let me know.
Besides the Perkins grants, what other funding is available to run these programs?
Well, there's lots of grants available. In the past year, we have been awarded 2 grants called incentive grants. One that helped start our drone program, one that is helping us do an English language learners program, so helping English language learners access CTE. That was recently highlighted in a magazine, national magazine. Nashua was also highlighted in Principal Leadership magazine last year, so really getting national recognition for the work we're doing. But excitingly, as of September 24th, we just found out that Nashua was awarded an almost $50,000 grant to study how we can potentially give math credits to students who are taking CTE courses. And the Commissioner of Education has really been piloting that. He believes in Nashua. He came to Nashua. He met with us. Mike and I have been meeting with all sorts of folks, and we're getting that started, and the commissioner gave us that money, so we're really excited.
That's great news.
Yeah, it is good news.
And coming from the academic end too, that's something that we've always explored, going back to my days at Minuteman.
Exactly.
Collaborating with academics and CTE and pairing up and what type of work we could do, just to have the work make sense for the kids. So we're doing these algebraic expressions. Why are we doing them? How can this make sense? And so this is such an exciting opportunity to provide kids that opportunity.
Yeah, well, I was sitting on a task force in Concord for a math task force, and parents were testifying and saying, math is really a struggle for my student. Why don't we have these hands-on math opportunities? Well, they are happening across the state, and other CTE centers are doing it, but no one has sort of gathered that information and said, this is the direction we can go in. And I think it's pretty cutting edge for the commissioner to do that.
You mentioned college credits, Mike. How closely do you work with the community college here in Nashua?
Very closely. Nashua Community College just came in 2 weeks ago, and they met with a number of our programs and the students, going over the process, how to apply, the money they can save by, paying for their courses up front as opposed to what they're going to pay, for 3 credits, their freshman year in college. Right. So the partnerships with the college is really good here, in terms of getting the information out to the parents, and the teachers are very accepting to let the colleges come into their classrooms and meet with them and make sure all the students have all the necessary information.
Right, and not just Nashua Community College, but SNU,
Yep.
right, and
Yep.
Riv. So we try to partner with any colleges that are interested, but that math grant that we spoke of, Christine Morris from Nashua Community College is one of our partners. She was so excited to come on board, so really collaborative efforts.
Yep.
Somebody watching today in the various areas that you offer wants to become part of your advisory board. Who should they contact?
I think contact either one of us.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
we can let them know the teacher, that would lead their advisory, and we'd be excited to have you.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the exciting parts has been getting to know the community members out there, and talking, how passionate we are about our programs and how passionate they are about getting involved with the school.
And who was the tool? We just had a tool company that's based here in Nashua.
Industrial Tool Supply.
Industrial Tool Supply met with us, and they're going to send today. We have a
Yep.
rep from Industrial Tool Supply in our manufacturing machining room, volunteering his time, helping us identify which tools we should keep, which tools we should
Yep.
improve on. And so we welcome community members, most definitely, Ed.
And what type of commitment are they looking at?
Whatever they want.
Anytime they're willing to spend.
Yeah.
But in terms of the advisory meetings, so each program has 2 advisory meetings a year. But many industry partners will, come in more than that, meet with the teacher, talk to Amanda and myself, and figure out what they can do to help.
We're also looking for people to serve on our regional advisory committee. So each CTE center, and we are a regional center, Ed, so that means that Milford and Hudson,
Alvern, yep.
Alvern, those, and a bunch of other schools feed into Nashua and can access the resources here. And we, as a region, need to have 2 advisory board meetings a year. So we would welcome community members, school board members, you, Ed, to be on that regional advisory meeting board.
But what should Nashua be proud of? I mean, we've talked a lot specific and generally here, but what should Nashua be proud of, and why is it important to have this here?
You want to take that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, number one, the instructors. I am so impressed with, the work that the teachers, are doing with their students.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part of my day, is getting down into these classrooms, into the labs, watching what the kids are doing, looking at the skills they've attained, watching the teachers work with the students. I think the teachers and the students,
Yep.
the skills that they're coming away with. We have such great programs here. And again, we called it earlier a hidden gem, and I do believe it's a hidden gem. I think both of us share the goal that we want this gem out there
Yep,
for people
absolutely.
to see and to give it exposure, because the work just here, the TV productions students are doing is fantastic, and we want to get the word out.
And can I jump
Sure.
into it? I think we should be really proud of our central office staff. So our superintendent
Absolutely.
and our 2 assistant superintendents and all the staff that support them have been incredibly supportive of our programs, giving us the time, the flexibility, their ear when we have questions. So we really appreciate that. I think Nashua should be proud that the school board started the machining manufacturing program. That's a really essential program, and a lot of schools have not had the support to do that. And the last thing I just want to say is Nashua should be proud of their logo.
I was going to just
Yeah,
go back
of course.
to the, it's the rebirth, but the
Yeah.
people may have noticed behind us on the screen that there's a logo they may not have seen before.
Well, exactly. So one of the problems has been this stigma that we've talked about already here today. So we need to change that. And what's exciting is this logo was born out of a committee that was started by teachers. So this is a teacher-led committee. Teachers from North and South got together. They worked hard over the summer. They made multiple designs. And one of our teachers here at South, Suzanne Winters, one of our marketing teachers, came up with the tagline, Learn, Become, Succeed, which I think is a fantastic tagline for our programs. And Corey Kennedy, our graphic design teacher, designed that logo. And it really represents, it's student-centered. You see a student there, Ed, and then has that pathway moving up. So we're really proud of it.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. I
And,
agree.
Are all your programs filled to capacity, or do you have some openings for a parent who might be watching now that their student might have an interest that they've expressed at home but have not pursued it further?
Absolutely. We have, as Amanda said earlier, our health occupations and our careers in education are full and actually have waiting lists right now. But there are a number of our programs who do have some room. So we'd encourage you, if you do have questions or are looking at certain programs, to certainly email us and contact the school, and we'll get right back to you with some options.
And Ed, along the lines of marketing, one thing that Mike's been really focused on since he came is this vertical alignment, and I'll let him tell you about that. So 2 pathways, using this new logo, 2 pathways we've been really going down are reaching out to ELL students, so really making sure we're embracing all students and giving all students opportunities, and then this vertical alignment, so the message gets down, so kids can make the decision a little earlier and have more information to work with.
Yeah, and this has always been a goal of mine to sort of bridge the gap between the middle schools and the high schools. And I think I shared the story a few minutes ago about the 6th graders who were excited about the programs here. And so when I came on board, Amanda and I really worked to come up with a plan about how to get this message down to the middle schools. So we've actually had initial meeting with some of the technical education and family and consumer science teachers down in the middle schools, starting those conversations. How can we improve our communication and get the kids more exposure to our high school programs, and working with the teachers up at the high school, to develop advertising, marketing, that type of thing.
Big question now is, where do we go from here?
We go up.
Yeah.
We're going to go great places, Ed. So we mentioned we've already had some meetings to look into protective services. We'll be next year the first CT center in the state to have drone programs in our drones course offered in our programming. We also have the ELL grant that we're working on, this math grant. So I think Nashua CTE is exploding right now and won't be the hidden gem for long.
That's our goal.
And you're unified,
Oh, completely. Yeah.
and that's important.
It's extremely important.
It's extremely important. I mean, especially when we're 2 separate schools.
And the campuses are close, but
Yeah, but but I think it's important. Amanda and I recognize that we have to, obviously have constant communication and work together as a team.
Yeah.
There's different programs at different schools,
But-
and we want to get the message out that you can go back and forth, and that they're going to be getting a consistent message.
and while it might be competitive in some areas, this is not.
No, we share, and
We're
for
not
all
competitive people.
for all the philosophical reasons, right? For all the philosophical reasons, and it's good for students, but also pragmatically, we share a budget and we share a grant. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
there's this one big money piece that brings us together too.
Yep.
Anything we didn't touch upon you want to quickly mention?
I just want to say that my son is a freshman, and I have him signed up for CTE classes as well as visiting Mass Maritime. So I think that it's really important if parents want to help their students make the most of their high school experience, that they enroll them in CTE classes.
Yeah, and contact us with any questions. We'd be happy to answer any questions about our programs, possibly tour some of the programs that we have. And again, just to get the word out there about the great stuff that's happening here at both schools.
Mike McQuilkin and Amanda Bastoni, co-directors of the CTE program in the Nashua School District, thank you so much for being with us this week.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching eYe on Education. I'm your host, Ed Lecius. Thank you and have a great week.